I'm delighted to be your host for this exciting panel discussion about gender representation in South Asian films and television.
Television is also determined by TRPs. Movies are determined by 100 crores, 200 crores, 300 crores. It just doesn't end. Recently, we made Pathan, and the way we show an ISI agent, for example, is ridiculous. Or the way we depict movie in a 1,000 crore film is bizarre.
Is that gender representation across Indian languages is so troubling, and there are so many commonalities in the way women specifically are treated, in the way sexual harassment is portrayed as an acceptable form of courtship, where domestic violence is normalized.
I mean, we had this popular serial where the woman was slapped because she was wearing something she wanted, and her mother-in-law was objecting, so the husband went and slapped her.
Stories are usually told from a male perspective, and I think the more women get behind cameras and the more women write stories, that is bound to change. But
representation of women has always been a reflection of how women are represented in our society. Representation in film has been a reflection of that to some extent, but also because we had mostly male filmmakers.
Zero is the representation of the indigenous population. Who is representing the indigenous people, and also who is telling the story of indigenous people.
Even in films that are supposedly thinking films, sometimes you find women completely marginalized.
So chahiye gori sushil ladki. And it is so deep rooted because it comes from the colonial past of fair being beautiful and savli being not beautiful, or heroine, quote unquote heroine material.
I don't see it. I don't see us represent women above the age of 40. Like, it's just not happening. We've isolated them completely, and that's
we do not show women enjoying themselves in the public space, and which kind of translates back to what we are facing as women in the country itself. So
come on, we are a nation that take pride of being bloodshedding for language. We are the nation who established the International Mother Language Day, and now we become the perpetrator.
Money is bet on the lowest common denominator at the time. In the 70s, the people who owned the hardware of a television set were a certain class of people with a certain set of exposure and so on and so forth.
It's like you're struggling to actually look for something optimistic in the whole picture.
Especially as an actor, a huge part of acting is observation and your ability to empathize with what's happening around you, and you learn so much more if you're allowed the space to grow and have conversations with like-minded people.
Female representation is really non-existent. We don't have female leads. We don't have female directors. I mean, we have female directors, but they're not given the task of directing an OTT series.
About it, that people think that just because there are women in decision making, quote unquote decision making positions, these are creative decisions, but the money decisions are supposed to govern the creative decisions. Unfortunately,
the meetings were so bizarre because they would tell me that our audience is 80% male. 80% male. How is it even possible that it's 80% male? And why don't you want to fix that? Why don't you want more female audiences instead of making what you're making already?
But
let's try.
Are you portraying a reality, or are you glorifying a problematic reality? This is the question, right?
I mean, indigenous women were facing the harassment, bullying, cyber harassment from the majority portion, from the Bengali community. On top of that, they were also facing the problem from their own community members.
But at the same time, I've had a lot of men, directors, big directors, tell me that they prefer their actresses to not speak much, to not go out of their way to ask too many questions about their characters, or just do what they're told, because why use your brain so much more? And these are big directors that have said that. And I think
so there is such a male gaze, not just on content, but on the audience. The assumption that the audience wants what that particular man in the seat of power who is making decisions wants.
Who are the head of these channels or the production houses, they want to sort of use it for their end. And I mean, female audiences in Pakistan, I think for the dramas at least, they outnumber men by a large number. But I mean, to say that, oh, this is what they want to see, no, I mean, they do not want to see a girl being slapped because of
that sort of a space. It's not only demeaning, but it's also limiting. It stops you from growing in a way that would help everyone that's involved with the film, including an audience. Asking questions and being curious is a good thing, and I don't think we should be discouraging that just because we write such limiting characters for our women.
And I completely relate when Shaloni was talking about that in Australia, if the Indian women, they have to play the Indian role. Yeah, there is nothing other role they can play. In Bangladesh, it's the same. Like the limited number of actors that are coming now, they can only play the indigenous role.
Just because somebody happens to be a woman doesn't mean that they will bring a gender perspective to the production. It's not about male or female or /fem, but it's more about patriarchy and capitalism. We talked a lot about market forces.
So I just feel that we have to have watchdogs protesting this. I mean, pushing back. And unless and until we don't have that on a very regular basis, we're just going to be like, talking to the converted and not finding results.